Welcome to Mark Arnold's Finance. Today we got a fun video. I'm going to be going over my top 7 gaming stock picks and sharing why I think these are going to provide great returns in the next 5, 10, 15 years for investors like you and I. And so if we look at the gaming industry as a whole, in 2020 it generated $155 billion in revenue, and by 2025 they predict that the gaming industry will produce and generate more than $260 billion in revenue. That's a huge growth, and therefore we see a lot of the tech companies starting to get involved in this revenue stream themselves. And if the tech companies are getting involved, I believe that means us as investors should start looking at this and getting involved in the gaming industry ourselves. Gaming's been popular since I was young. I started out with a PlayStation 1. I don't really game now, but I know plenty that do, so it's still very popular, and I believe will be for decades and decades to come. And so therefore I think it's a great industry to invest in. So before we get started, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new. I provide transparency with my opinions, my strategies. I share my portfolio performance. I provide diverse content, so it's never the same. It's always something different. And it's just fun. I'm learning, you're learning. Let's learn together. So be sure to subscribe. Now, with stock number 1, let's get started. That's going to be Nvidia. Now, Nvidia produces high-end graphics cards that are needed for top-level game performance. They're the chip maker of choice, and Nvidia's gaming demand is outpacing its supply, which is an excellent look for its future growth. They've had strong recent revenue growth due to their new high-end graphics cards, which are, if we can see here, are producing in the physical year, their revenues have gone up 61% to a record $12.46 billion. With Nvidia, we can see that market cap, as far as the chip maker goes, they're at the top. They're that yellow line. They're way ahead of Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, and if you're the market leader and you're the one that's highly sought after, they definitely have an advantage, which I believe is why they are a great company to invest in. Now, if we look at some stock fundamentals, we'll see that they're towards their 52-week range. They're towards kind of a little bit below half of their 52-week range, but they're rated very bullishly at an 8.2 out of 10. They are a little expensive at a 57.72% PE ratio, but we see that their gaming, in their gaming sector of their business, it's grown 61%. So I believe their PE ratio over time will be reduced pretty heavily. They're a mega cap. They're valued at $533 billion. And as we can see, between 2020 and 2022, during the pandemic, their stock rose massively because people were home, they were gaming. Now, at the beginning of this year, we're seeing some volatility. This might be a good time to buy into a very quality company like Nvidia. So, next stock that I'm going to talk about is Electronic Arts. Now, Electronic Arts, they're one of the world's largest independent video game publishers, and they own franchises such as Madden and Battlefield. They're expected to sustain double-digit revenue growth through 2025, which is a great sign. Now, with EA, we can see their revenue. Here's the chart. It's a pretty great story. It's growing over time, and that's what we want to see. And with their, if we look at kind of their stock fundamentals, we can see with Electronic Arts, they're towards the bottom of their 52-week range, which I believe is great. Now, analysts are bearish. They only give it a 1 out of 10, but I will say this. When I see bearish predictions on stocks, sometimes that's some of the best times to buy in because it's a beaten down stock. Now, it is somewhat pricey at a 55.63 PE ratio, which is something to consider, and it's at a medium cap market of $34.48 billion as far as valuation. And if we look at their 5-year stock chart, you know, they benefited somewhat from the pandemic, but not as much as Nvidia did. Of course, Nvidia is a bigger company, has other parts to it, but I believe EA Sports in the future, you know, it has valuable brand recognition, it has a large catalog of intellectual property and unique contractual relationships with key sports leagues, which will, I think, provide it great growth in the future, especially with the growth in the gaming industry. So next up, we are going to talk about is Activision Blizzard. Now, Activision Blizzard is a leading US video game publisher and owns franchises such as Call of Duty, which is super popular, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft, each popular in their own right. They have improving VR and console technology, which should continue to drive sales growth in the future. Of course, we're going to talk about this in a minute, but Microsoft is looking to buy them out. And so I believe that this is just providing a great opportunity for Activision. Now, with Activision's revenue growth, we can see that this is pretty impressive. This revenue growth here is just showing that this company is really managing itself well and growing, and they're doing something right. And I believe with their popular games, this is something that just going to continue to grow further and further. They also have other opportunities to grow outside of this industry in fitness, education, and other fields due to their massive popularity. So with Activision Blizzard, if we look at the Microsoft deal, of course, Microsoft wants to buy them for $68.7 billion, and it's expected to close in the fiscal year 2023. There's been some headwinds recently. I'm going to talk about more of that later in the video, but this is something that would benefit both Activision and Microsoft, in my opinion. If we look at their stock fundamentals, we can see that they're in the middle of their 52-week range. They're at a 1.8 out of 10 from analysts, so it's a little bit of a bearish score, or it's a pretty bearish score, which again, that should provide an opportunity for us as buyers. This is one of the cheaper gaming stocks on my list at a 22.96, and they're considered a large cap at 61.64 billion. And if we look at their 5-year chart, not too much growth, but I believe with their popularity and their revenue growth, that should catch up eventually, and this stock should flourish. Which leads me into the next gaming stock, which is no surprise, Microsoft. Now, Microsoft owns Xbox, which brings popular games such as Halo, and they're also a professional hardware and cloud service company. So with Microsoft, you're not getting just a pure gaming play, you're getting a massive company in itself. So that's why I like it, because I think it's a safe investment. But it also has a sizable gaming business. If we look at Microsoft with their gaming, they have grown, massively over the years since 2010, from a little over 4 billion now to reaching almost 16 billion. Of course, they've made some acquisitions in the past themselves, and now with Activision Blizzard, this will just really create massive growth for them should they be able to land that deal. And adding Activision Blizzard to the fold would mean that Microsoft's gaming business will instantly grow by roughly 50%, bringing in its annual revenue way past 20 billion. That to me is why I think if you are going to invest in kind of a combo, I'd invest in both Activision Blizzard and Microsoft, because you're going to benefit either way. There has been some headwinds. There's been some activists that don't like this deal, and also the governor of California has been called out for some interference with this deal, so we'll see what happens. But if it does not go through, if you invest in Microsoft, you're still getting a massive company that has a moat that's huge in other areas besides gaming. But you're also, if you're investing in Activision separately, you're getting a quality gaming company that I believe still has massive growth for the future. So I currently own Microsoft, so I'm very excited and hopeful that this deal will go through, because I believe that will just create Microsoft as a giant gaming company themselves. So let's just look at Microsoft's stock fundamentals. They are a little bit below their 52-week range, which is kind of rare for Microsoft, so I think it's a buying opportunity regardless if they get Activision or not. Their analysts are bullish at an 8.1. Their PE ratio is a 30.6. I think that's very fair valued for right now, but undervalued for the next 5 to 10 years or beyond. So I always think it's a great time to get into Microsoft if you have a long investing horizon. They are a mega cap at 2.1 trillion, and as we can see, their stock chart is very clean, but recently they've had that volatility, which is rare for Microsoft. So I think this is a great opportunity to get into a high quality growth company like Microsoft, which has a great strong gaming component itself. If we go down the list, we have 3 more. The next one is TakeTwo Interactive. It's a software company, and it's a video game publisher and owner of key franchises that include Grand Theft Auto, which is very popular, Red Dead Redemption, and Borderlands. It has advanced gaming hardware that should help benefit this company for the future. So with Take-Two, we see that their revenue, there has been growth over the last decade plus. They had a slowdown after 2014, but it started going right back up. And so that means that they are doing things right. And if we look at their stock fundamentals, we will see that they're at the low of their 52-week range. Analysts are bearish at a 1.6. They're at a PE ratio of 30.83, which I don't think is really that bad for a company like this. And their market cap is 15.93 billion. Now, if we look at their stock chart over the last 5 years, it's performed decent, but not too massive. But as I stated, I believe their advanced gaming hardware that they have should help benefit this company for the future. Grand Theft Auto is, a game that they can really utilize for future growth. So who knows what the future is with this company? I'd say this one's one of probably the least. If I had to pick out of the top 7, it'd probably be number 7. But I still think it's a solid company to invest in for the future of gaming. Next one is a little bit of a surprise, but it's Google. Now, Google in 2020 had 40 million active gaming channels and over 100 billion watch time hours. It is very popular now to have active gaming channels. I know when my nephew comes to my house and I'm like, what do you want to watch? He just watches YouTube channels where other people are gaming, and I don't get it, but it's a big thing. But the gaming channels are more than just people viewing it. It's people getting insight on games that they love, and so on and so forth. So YouTube gaming, the gaming channels, the streaming of the gaming is super popular. YouTube is very popular, and I think this is a company that'll keep benefiting off of that for a long time to come. If we look at their stock fundamentals, they're at the middle of their 52-week range. They're at 8.4 with, so they're bullish. Analysts are bullish. They have a low PE ratio, in my opinion, of 23.15. I believe Google is one of the rare opportunities out there where it's a high quality company and it's not really priced right. I think it's very undervalued. It's at an 875 billion market cap. And if we look at the last 5 years, this stock has done very well. It's had some volatility, but I think this is one that you invest in. You're going to be very happy in the next 5 years. So Google, surprisingly, is one that I just think will see a lot of continued interest in gaming channels and viewing these gaming channels, and that'll provide a lot of revenue through ads and stuff like that. The last one that I'm going to talk about is another surprise. That's going to be Amazon. Now, Amazon owns Twitch, which dominates the world of video game streaming, so similar to Google, but it's estimated that Twitch accounted for 72% of video game streaming hours watched in first quarter 2021. YouTube took 15% of that, Facebook 12% of that. Mind you, I just said Twitch took 72%. Massive lead, no comparison, can't even compare that. It is a small fraction of Amazon's revenue, but as a leader in video streaming, it has high growth potential for this market. So I really believe that, with Amazon, this is something, having that much of a lead is just going to provide it as just a dominant player that'll continue to grow massively. If we look at some Amazon Twitch statistics, it was launched in 2011. Twitch generates more than 80% of its traffic through direct traffic, so the user enters the exact address in the browser, which is pretty amazing. There were, on average, 56,400 channels streaming live at any given time in 2020. Their Twitch partner program has grown by 68% since 2017. That's massive. The revenue that Twitch made in 2020 was approximately $2.3 billion. This was mostly made from subscriptions, so it's kind of like similar to the Google YouTube thing, but with Amazon, this is really a drop in the bucket for Amazon as far as their other revenue, but this has great potential, and compared to other companies, this is massive, so it's pretty impressive. Now, in August of 2014, that's when Amazon bought Twitch, so it was launched in 2011, but Amazon bought it for $970 million. So for it producing $2.3 billion in revenue already, they had a heck of a deal and made a very smart move. So Amazon, I believe, as far as the gaming goes, is one that we'll see, because the streaming is so popular. I see it everywhere. And I think this is only going to get more and more popular as we go on through the next 5-10 years. So Amazon is a great play. Never mind it's, Amazon, shopping and AWS services. They have so many other massive areas of growth. So I actually like Amazon as my #1 pick. So there you have it. There are the top 7 gaming stocks. Let me know if you have any others that you think would be better suited for this top 7 list. I'd love to hear why. I know there's a lot of others out there like Nintendo, even Facebook is getting into it. But these are the 7 that I thought are going to really dominate in the next 5 to 10 years for sure. And some of those like Amazon, Nvidia, Activision Blizzard, Microsoft are really going to be beyond that. But let me know if you agree with my top 7 or think you would move some out and put some other gaming stocks in. Regardless, gaming has a huge future and I'm very excited about this. I own Microsoft, so therefore hopefully someday I'll own Activision Blizzard as they get bought out, hopefully. And then other than that, I'm looking into getting into maybe Amazon and Google, more so Amazon, so that'll be more gaming exposure for my portfolio. So yeah, there it is, the top 7 gaming stocks. Let me know what you think. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching and hope you have a great day. See you next time on Mark Arnold's Finance.